On the night of October 13th, 2001, Derek Jeter fielded a wild relay throw in the first base line, flipped it backhanded to home plate, and cut down the tying run in the 7th inning of an ALDS elimination game. The Yankees survived. The play became known simply as the flip. It was replayed thousands of times. It became the defining image of a player who already had 4 World Series rings and a reputation that was growing larger than his statistics could contain. By the end of his career, Derek Jeter was synonymous with one word above all others: clutch. And when analysts finally measured it across 20 years of data, almost nothing supported it. This is not an argument that Jeter was a bad player. He was not. This is an investigation into how a reputation for performing better in pressure situations gets built, and what happens when you actually measure the moments that built it. The concept of clutch has existed in baseball as long as the sport itself. The idea is simple. Some players elevate when the game is on the line. They slow everything down, see the moment more clearly, and deliver when ordinary players do not. It is one of the most compelling narratives in sports. It is also one of the most thoroughly studied, and the research keeps arriving at the same uncomfortable conclusion. Clutch performance, as a repeatable skill, is nearly impossible to find in the data. The way analysts measure clutch is through a metric called WPA, win probability added. Every plate appearance in baseball can be assigned a win probability before and after it happens. A single with 2 outs and the bases loaded in a tie game in the 9th inning shifts the win probability dramatically. A single in the first inning of a blowout shifts it barely at all. WPA captures both. And the difference between a player's WPA in high-leverage situations and their WPA in neutral ones is the closest thing baseball has to a direct measurement of clutch performance. What the data shows across decades of research is that a player shown to be clutch in one season does not reliably reproduce that pattern the following year. The correlation between a player's clutch score in year 1 and their clutch score in year 2 is close to 0, which means that clutch performance, as it actually appears in the data, looks far more like random variation than repeatable skill. I'm still building Sabermetric Lab, so if you enjoy baseball stories where the numbers challenge the myth, I genuinely appreciate you subscribing. Derek Jeter's career clutch score, as calculated by FanGraphs, sits at 0.48 over 20 seasons. That number is essentially neutral. A score above 1.0 is considered meaningfully clutch. A score below negative 1.0 is considered meaningfully unclutch. 0 is exactly what you would expect from a player who performs at his normal level, regardless of the situation. Jeter's 0.48 is not a rounding error. It is the summary of 2 decades of plate appearances, weighted by the leverage of each moment, telling you that in high-stakes situations, Jeter hit like Jeter. No better, no worse. His career slash line was .310 batting average, .377 on-base percentage, .440 slugging percentage. In situations with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, one of the most pressure-laden spots in the game, he hit .298 with an .817 OPS, essentially identical to his overall numbers. The moments that built his clutch reputation did not show up differently in the aggregate than the moments that did not. So where did the reputation come from? The answer is both simple and important to understand, because it explains how clutch myths get built across all of baseball, not just around Jeter. The human brain is not designed to process randomness accurately. It is designed to find patterns. When a player delivers a memorable hit in a high-leverage post-season moment, that moment gets weighted enormously in memory. The flip play in 2001. The walk-off in Game 4 of the 2001 World Series, the walk-off against the Red Sox in 2004. These moments are not fabricated. They happened, but they represent a handful of plate appearances across a career of roughly 12,000. And the brain treats those handful of moments as evidence of a pattern that the full 12,000 plate appearances do not support. And this is where the clutch myth starts to break apart. The moments that create reputations are high leverage, high visibility, high stakes situations. They occur in October in front of massive audiences, in games where the outcome matters most. The moments that contradict the reputation are the hundreds of regular season high-leverage plate appearances that ended in a strikeout or a weak groundout, played in front of smaller crowds, and remembered by almost no one. WPA captures all of them. Memory captures almost none of the contradictory ones. What makes Jeter such a powerful example is that he was genuinely great often enough for the myth to feel undeniable. If a replacement-level player had produced the exact same collection of famous postseason moments, nobody would have built an entire identity around it. But Jeter combined durability, playoff exposure, team success, and visibility in New York, the largest baseball stage in the sport. He played 158 postseason games. That is essentially an extra full regular season performed entirely under playoff pressure. Most players never receive enough high-profile opportunities for a clutch reputation to grow this large in the first place. Jeter did. And every memorable October moment reinforced the story people already wanted to believe. The research goes back further than most fans realize. Studies dating to the early days of sabermetric analysis have looked at whether players who perform above their expected level in high-leverage situations one year repeat that pattern the following year. Across large samples, the answer is consistently no. The year-to-year correlation for clutch scores is near zero, which means that if you identified the 10 most clutch hitters in baseball in a given season and watched them the following year, their clutch performance would be essentially unpredictable. Some would rank highly again, others would rank near the bottom. The distribution would look like random chance. What does predict performance in high-leverage situations is the same thing that predicts performance in low-leverage situations. Overall talent, exit velocity, plate discipline, contact quality. The skills that show up in barrel rate and walk rate and strikeout rate are the skills that determine whether a player helps or hurts his team when the game is on the line. A great hitter is a great hitter in every situation. The idea that certain players access a separate gear in pressure moments, that the game slows down for them in a way it does not for others, is a compelling story. The data does not find it. Derek Jeter was a great player. His 0.48 clutch score is not an insult. It is a description of a consistent elite performer who hit like himself regardless of the moment. The flip play was real. The walk-offs were real. But they were the product of a very good hitter operating at his normal level in high-visibility situations, not evidence of a player who became something more when everything was on the line. The reputation was built on 12 swings the world remembered. The data was built on 12,000 the world forgot. The broader implication extends well beyond Jeter. Teams have made roster decisions and contract offers based on clutch reputation. A player who delivered in October gets valued in ways his regular season numbers may not justify. What WPA offers is a corrective, a measurement that counts what actually happened in high-leverage situations rather than which moments were memorable enough to survive in collective memory. The next time a player is called clutch after a big hit, the right question is not whether the moment happened. It did. Because the moments we remember are not always the moments that tell the truth.